Hey guys, this is Joe with Youngblood Family Farm, and this is the first run of the 2020 maple syrup season. Like I said on my intro to this 2020 playlist, my kids are going to be in here. My kids are going to be my child actors, if you will. And so just to make sure that I don't have any issues, my videos here will be made for kids. What does that mean to you? That means that there's no comments. So if you'd like to get a hold of me, please place a comment in that intro video. Any questions, any comments, kind of a long way to go around it, but you can do that. Join me and let's do some collecting, huh? Collection day number 1. Let me show you what I got here. I got 4 of my 5 children out, and we are doing some collection. We're doing a lot more of the tubes to buckets, and this is what we got. So as always, you've seen this before. We always try to pre-filter it. That is just an old t-shirt, and as the season progresses, we're going to see more and more bugs in the sap when we collect the buckets. So that's what we're doing. Did we get all these buckets here?
Yeah.
All right. So let's move along. We gotta get over here, and we're gonna see what we can. We made some wagers earlier about how much collection we'll have. Right now we got 53. Go ahead, Rebecca. We got 53 taps. I'm not sure how many trees that is. It's probably around 30 trees. And we are going to just see what we end up with. Now, if you're new to syruping, sugaring, you'll hear a term called runs. That's not sickness. That is a system and series of days in which we fall below that freezing point, and then we climb above the freezing point, and that allows the sap to flow and for us to collect it. So currently we're in the second day of a run, and so this is our first run. It looks like it's going to be probably a 3-day run, and so when I refer to runs, that's what I'm referring to. So something I've been thinking a lot about over the last few years of making syrup is, you know, at what point are you too big for your own britches? Every year we've stepped up our game a little bit. Every year we put a few more taps in, we've improved the process, and I think that sooner or later we're going to get to the point where we don't make a better product just because we're bigger. And I think that sometimes we see folks get so big that they don't have a quality product anymore. I'm not saying they can't. I know a lot of producers that are a couple thousand taps and they're making a fine product. But I think that we really got to be careful that we're not getting too big for our britches. So hey folks, collection number 1 was a whopper. We're at about 95 gallons. I got a couple barrels back over here, and we are processing through our reverse osmosis. Should have collected last night, but I didn't. It was a little windy. It was a long day. The issue with the reverse osmosis is it just takes time. So pretty good chance that I'm gonna process this as long as I can. Continue to work from barrel to barrel, and then I will get up early in the morning and start boiling some syrup down. You can see here that this is the results of a reverse osmosis. So the reverse osmosis system that I have here. This is not an RO bucket, but I just put all my items into a bucket because I thought that was a really great idea. In fact, I don't know the guy that makes that product, but pretty good product, and price is pretty decent. So I think an RO bucket is not a bad move, especially having it in the bucket. So 90, let's say 90 gallons. It's about 2% sugar, all of it. And I could pull out 4 gallons an hour. So, 10 hours from now, you do the math, right? 40 gallons or so. It's roughly 3 o'clock now, so I got 90 gallons to process through this reverse osmosis. I could pull right around 4 or 5 gallons an hour. I run my membranes in parallel, which is usually a little slower processing, but the membranes don't seem to get clogged as quickly. So I can run it for 8 hours at a stretch without them getting clogged. About every 8 hours, you need to do a fast cycle rinse. But anyhow, if I can run these till, let's say I start boiling at 5, 15 hours from now, that 5 in the morning, so 15 hours, I should be able to pull off about 60 gallons of water, leaving me with 30-ish gallons of concentrate. So that's pretty good. So we're going to let this go, and I'm going to work on this, and then I will bring you guys back in the morning as I'm boiling. Okay, so let's wish for good weather. All right, guys, welcome back to the first boil of 2020. It's what we live for, right? I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm entering this season exhausted. And so, once again, I salute y'all that are doing stuff with children. YouTube is flooded with people that are just jamming it. They're doing really great, but most of them don't have little kids in the house. A few of them do, and they're kicking butt, and I salute them. But nonetheless, trees are tapped, sap's flowing, and we're gonna make some syrup this season. So, seen this in past videos. This is my old evaporator, and this was built mostly by one of my students. I gave him a lot of inspiration. I gave him a lot of directions, but he wanted to study metalworking, and so I kept day by day. He had different assignments. The welds got better and better as he went. And so once again, this is one steel drum, had a snap ring on it, and then we took the rear end of 2/3 of steel drum and we welded that in there. So the back is solid, the front is solid. Then we used one of those Vogelzang barrel stove kit. All in all, it didn't cost much. The stainless is thicker than it should be. Thus the fan kind of compensates for that thickness. Full-size steam pan for warming. And what I used as a connecting piece, this is not a very hot spot right here, but this is a watertight electrical conduit connection. And then you could see that we just used some copper gas line, and it kind of goes underneath and then goes across that steam, and then it dribbles in. We got a nice boil going right now. And that dribbling in is the difference in time, that we can just keep adding that sap, not killing that boil, and not really affecting the overall temperature of it. So we ran the RO last night. Messed up on my wake up alarm, so I I honestly didn't wake up till probably 5 a.m. We've been boiling pretty good for 3.5 hours or so. And we probably, with the RO, pulled out, I'd say 50 to 55 gallons of water, which really raises the content. First barrel, I ran that for about 7-8 hours, and I added my extras to it, and I brought that up right around 7%. My second 30-gallon barrel, I ran that through the night, and it's just shy of 9%, which is a little bit on the high end. If you raise the sugar content too high with the RO, I find that the color's off. It just doesn't spend enough time boiling. This next batch, I started that thing right around 5:30 with the RO, and it will probably only be in the 5%. And so that's going to be quite a bit of boil. I feel like this is going to have decent color. You could already see it in the pan. If you look at the back side of the pan, it's not quite as hot. It's got pretty good color to it. And so I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna finish boiling this. Probably bring you guys in as I'm filtering, and then we'll kind of see how much we end up with. Okay, folks, that's the end of the first boil. Doing a little filtering right now. Kind of forgot to bring you guys back in. This is my little filter setup. And so as you can see, this is just a cone filter. I run a pre-filter. And then this is actually just an old shop stool frame. Top on it was pretty messed up. Took the tabs and I bent those out. Not really sure they sell these cone filters, but they rarely sell stands. You can buy the box that you put on top of a heater, this and that. I've seen people who just run dowel rods, but this worked out really well. Cut the bottom off a 5-gallon pail just to keep the wind from hitting it, and then I just throw the top back on. This is my canning pot down there. I usually stick a board underneath it. That way when I put it back onto the cook stove, it's not all covered in dirt. Cut one of the side pieces off the stool back here so I could just slide the stool out. And I'm not quite rushed for time today, so I'm just going to let this drip for a while, get every little bit out of it, and then do a real thorough rinse on that cone filter. And then I usually store this in half-gallon mason jars, leave them in there overnight, let a little gravity kind of help filter it a little bit more, and then I will bring that syrup back up to around 200 to 205, not letting it boil, and then I will put it into bottles. So I got some collecting later to do today, and then we'll start the second boil process. So thanks for joining me. Let me know in that first video if you guys are boiling and if you're recording it and how your season's going. I really like seeing the small guys. So take care. Bye now.